need to mute it? Okay, so we're fine.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Craft Hour with Pinkfresh Studio. I am your host, Jeff Lindberg. As you know, this is my favorite part of a Monday night, sharing it with you in Pinkfresh Studio. So let's see how we're doing and check in with the comments. You know that I can't start a show with my Pinkfresh Studio audience unless I know that there's a great audio and camera feed. So if you could make sure in the comments that you drop that you can hear me okay and that everything's going great. You know, it's sort of like the magic mirror when we were all growing up on television. I need to know that you're out there, right? So go ahead and share some details. And I'm pleased to, hi Valerie, we're so glad that you're here. Debbie, glad that you're here. And I saw what you said about looking forward to this all day. That means a lot. I'm so glad that my favorite Navy wife likes my wacky red glasses. They're very Sally, Jesse Raphael. Hi, Kel. Couldn't do a show without you. So glad that you're here too. Welcome to the Craft Hour with Pinkfresh Studio. You know, every Monday night at 7 p.m., we gather around, we have a little conversation, and we meet a great Pinkfresh Studio designer. And that designer this week is something a little different. In fact, we thought it would be fantastic to bring two worlds together. So we are calling this episode Better Together because scrapbooking and card making are what Pinkfresh Studio is all about. So tonight we decided, Beverly, I think Beverly's flirting with me. She said that I look and sound wonderful. It's the glasses, it's the red glasses, I know. We decided that we would be better together with someone who is known as a designer for Pinkfresh in the scrapbooking world. And she's going to teach me a little bit about how to make it into the card making world. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome tonight's guest. This is the lovely Natalie DeSousa. Hi, Natalie. Can we hear you okay?
Yep, I think you can hear me
We
okay.
can
Hi,
hear your
Jeff.
audio. Hello. That's
Speak
fantastic.
Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo están?
Hola, ¿cómo está? Bien y tú? Is it? That's about it. That's all I know how to say.
I'm perfect. Fine. Yeah. Welcome to my lovely bedroom.
Yes, all the way in Canada. As I mentioned to the Pinkfresh
Yes, I am.
Studio audience, we are better together because I'm in the United States and you're in Canada. I gotta tell you, every single time I do this show, my bosses at Pinkfresh Studio send me around the world, and now they're sending me to Canada to meet you. How did you get connected with Pinkfresh Studio?
I started scrapbooking maybe 4 years ago, and I think one of the first pieces of paper that I bought was a Pinkfresh Studio paper.
What draw?
So
Do you remember what drew you to Pinkfresh and their designs on that
well, it was
paper?
really white, and I love a lot of white space. It didn't have, even though I love florals, and you're gonna see that I love florals, and if people know my work, they know that I love florals.
Okay.
But it had this little, like a cube in it, and I love graphic design.
Okay.
So I like straight lines, and I was like, that paper's for me. So I am a curator of paper crafting material.
Sure, sure.
I live in an apartment, so we live in an apartment here in Toronto.
Okay.
So let's just say my dining room table is my craft table, and my bookcases the books are being replaced by paper, ink, and others.
I gotta tell you, I think we all can relate. I think we should hear in the comments. Shout out in the comments if you have had to take your crafty space out into your main living rooms, living spaces, kitchens, bedrooms, like our friend Natalie tonight. In fact, are you in your bedroom tonight? You told me that you had to change.
Yeah, my family's having dinner 3 rooms away from me right now, which is okay.
Right.
They'll say this food, don't worry, I'll be back, and later on I'll have some dinner.
Right.
I'll spend the hour with you, and we'll play around with some paper.
You got a date with me, sister. You don't have time to be hanging out with the family. You've got to have a hot romantic date with me over some glue and paper.
I see him every day. We're in quarantine. We see him every day. Don't worry.
So, like I said, tonight's theme on the craft hour is better together. And all night long, we're going to be asking questions, having a conversation, and making the two worlds of scrapbooking and card making come together, which is fantastic. I want to give a shout out to who is moderating our comments, one of my amazing leaders. You know her as Leah Lawson. She runs our marketing team. Yes, she's fantastic. She's our moderator in the sky. So if you have any questions, be sure to talk to her, and she will be checking in and making sure that we are saying all the right things. And we don't want to make her mad. She's the boss, right? We don't want to make her mad. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the show over for a second. And if you will take a minute to adjust your camera, we'll go ahead and get started with tonight's adventure. Does that sound good? Fantastic. Well, again, everybody, we're so glad you're here. You're watching the Craft Hour with Pinkfresh Studio. Every week, Monday night, 7 o'clock, connect with us here as we combine the worlds of Pinkfresh Studio with lots of cool making. But we never want to just make. We want to show you all the worlds of Pinkfresh, but we also want to have a great conversation about what's happening out in the world and get a little entertainment from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So between all of us, let's have a good time. So, Miss Natalie, what are we making tonight? What adventures do you have in store for us?
So tonight we are actually gonna play with paper. And the idea is that we, like I said, we all curate beautiful paper material, especially if it comes from Pinkfresh Studio. We have lots of it. So I've been blessed.
Okay. Natalie, I can already tell that you have your sights set. 2 cards. I can't even make one on this show. So let me just tell everybody before Natalie revs her engine. I'm your host with the most, but sometimes I can't make as fast as our designer. So remember, I'm you in a lot of ways, right? I may not be able to make right away, but we're here to pay attention to see how we can do something with the great designers. All right. So I'm going to
pulled all the Let's Stay at Home collection. Okay. And I'm going to say that the best thing you can do to make a card is go for a 6x6 paper pad. Just because the scale of the pattern is smaller, so it suits the card better than a larger pattern. So pull out your 6x6 pad, Jeff, like I said, we're going to try. We're going to keep our fingers to get this card done during the hour.
Great.
So I thought that, as always, Pinkfresh Studios collections are filled with lots of ephemera and beautiful materials that, kind of combine nicely together. So we're going to play with layers for this card. So I want to go with something that has layers, that has some dimension, and that has lots of color.
Oh,
so I'm going to pull a paper from here, and I already had it marked it down. And of course, I moved the paper. So I'm looking at that little paper that has the triangles, just because it has a rainbow already. Okay. And like I said before, I'm always drawn to graphic lines. So I thought this will be a perfect starting point for the card. So I'm just going to take it out of my pad. And of course, I've already pre-cut a panel. We're going to work with panels, and then it's easier to work this way and then just attach it to the card. So I'm going to kind of size it and cut it. This is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's gonna fit right there, and I'm hoping I'm putting it right on the center. So I am gonna actually cut this paper to fit to the card. So I am going to, you can go either with the bold side of the pattern paper, or you can go with the lighter side. That's up to you. Whatever it's better. I don't know if you found out the paper already, Jeff, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I found a piece of paper. It's not as graphic as yours, but it is also fantastic. It can be found as part of their 32 pack, and I have the Just a Little Lovely set, I believe. But I was drawn to it because of the amazing rainbow colors that are inside.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna cut it to fit. Like I said, I'm gonna fit my panel with this. I want to make sure that I have all the colors of the rainbow in the card, because rainbow is always a good color, I think, for anything. So one of the things that I think when you're playing with paper, it's important to find layers and things that bring interest to the card. So I've already pulled outside of the camera. I put one of the new fabric bows. So I'm gonna show you a little trick on how I build them.
Okay.
I pulled also from, this is the journaling bits. I pulled this tag, and it has florals, and I don't want to go into the florals right now, so I'm going to flip it, and it has this beautiful peachy tone, which I think is going to play really nice and kind of pop from the background. Out of the same pack, I also pulled this one, which is a recipe card, but I like the fact that the edges have details. So that's just going to, when you layer, and of course it says favorite recipe, but I'm going to cover that part. So you're going to see how I'm not adding anything, and I'm just going to layer everything to have an idea how everything is going to sit. So you're going to see that right away that the tag is popping. The edges here, like it creates a nice contrast from the straight lines and the triangles to the little, I'm going to say it looks more like a posted stamp, the rounded edges. So then I went into the ephemera pack and found this little frame. And what I love about the frame, again, is the little interest on the side. It's not just, how those old Polaroids or the slides have those little notches? Right. So I'm going to use that to layer. Either way, you can put it underneath. And I don't want to lose those little details, because I think that's what's going to help me when I actually start building everything. So first, I'm just going to kind of set everything, and then we'll go into literally adding foam adhesive behind it and, adding dimension. And then for a sentiment, you can either stamp a sentiment in a piece of cardstock or one of the labels, but I found this one that said choose hope. And I thought that just because I want, like I said, all the contrast of the shapes, I thought it would be a great sentiment right there. So that's pretty much the idea of the card. Super simple. Like I said, you can bring more texture onto the card. I could use machine stitching just to add, kind of frame everything. But it's hard when you're doing it online, just because, we can bring the machine here. It'll be take a long time to do that. Sure, but I think the skeleton of this looks fine.
So really quick, Natalie, if you don't mind, what we'll do is we're going to check your audio on something. The good news is everything you've been saying has been heard, except if I go to a dual camera shot that I thought that I would fix. So let's try it really quick. I'm going to go to this camera shot, and let's find out, can you hear me and Natalie? So Natalie, I'm going to talk to you. Go ahead and talk for a second.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, I didn't check if I was being heard or not. My
So I'm
apologies.
hoping that you can hear her. It looks like her audio is coming through okay, because I want to be able to be on camera with her. So yeah, I'll pay attention. And the good news is that they can hear you when it's just the desktop. It's when it's both of us that is problematic, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's fine. I can repeat it. I can go back and repeat some of it.
No, the good news is that they definitely heard you after I fixed it. I was just trying to be on camera with you. So just check in with me, everybody. If I have the camera like this, can you hear? Because I want to be able to talk with each of you. And really quick, do you mind if you bring your image closer to the camera for a second? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, yeah, just hold it up really quick so they can see it. So folks, what we're gonna do, I could hear Natalie on the other screenshot too. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to hear. Natalie, we're getting better.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not you. It's definitely me. It's all me. All right, before we go back to Natalie and this amazing card that she's teaching us, again, welcome back to Pinkfresh Studio. This is the Craft Hour, and we are having a fun time called Being Better Together. So tonight we have 5 questions. You know I love to randomly draw questions with you for Natalie and I to answer, but also for you to answer in the comments. And tonight's questions are all about being better together, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and pick the first question tonight. This is how it works. I'll answer the question, Natalie will answer the question, and then I hope you answer the question as well. So let's go ahead and go to question number 1. Question number 1 is, what is your favorite pairing? It could be anything. It could be a wine pairing. It could be a favorite pair of pets you own, a favorite outfit ensemble. What is your favorite pairing? So
what's yours? Let's start with you. What's yours?
Well, I'm going to get fancy and say that my favorite pairing is meat and potatoes. No, definitely meat and potatoes. No, my favorite pairing is my amazing partner, Dan, and myself. I think that we survived a national pandemic of stay-at-home orders together, so we, the two of us, are my favorite pair. How about you, my friend? What's your favorite pair?
You beat me on that one. And I love my husband dearly. We've been together for 20 years. But I think because of my background, like I said, I'm just going to keep working on the car. I'm just going to add in some foam adhesive behind it while I'm talking. So one of the things that I love since I was a child is coffee. I love coffee. I love dark chocolate. Combine them together, and I can live off that. Like, I know people are going to say that I have an addiction, and it's a very lovely addiction. That's all I have to say.
I understand. Helen shares, our friend Helen. She comes every week. I'm so Helen, thank you for coming back every week. I appreciate it. She says her favorite pairing is Pinkfresh and Altenew. Well, Helen, you know that we're going to want to talk about that. Our friends at Altenew and Pinkfresh have an amazing relationship going on. Be sure to check out the details as we pair up with one of our favorite companies. You know, the best thing about working for Pinkfresh is their community spirit with so many other amazing companies, especially found through the Stamping Village, which I hope that you follow, and Altenew. So I love that you shared that. That's fantastic. All right, so Miss Natalie, you are trucking along. Tell us what you're doing. Are you doing any layering and dimension with this?
Just to pop some of those edges up and just create more of dimension, some movement in a way, and just separate the layers. And one of the things that I love is foam adhesive. It's something that I'm kind of addicted to. It just makes everything stand out. So I'm just gonna set this aside.
Do you have a favorite?
I'm hoping that you are working along, Jeff. I'm just turning around, and I'm gonna show you how I build the bow. And one of the things that I forgot to tell you is that when I'm color match to the peach area here and brought some of that yellow. So I really like these bows, by the way. Just making a note there. So I'm gonna go ahead and build it. And I know that I had some people ask me, some of my followers ask me, how do you build it and they don't come apart? So it is gonna take a bit of glue. So you're just gonna glue each piece to the center. And I know that the biggest question is how do you keep the centers from popping, off? So it is gonna take a little bit of patience because you're gonna have to wait the glue to dry a little bit. But what I do is I bring a paper clip and I keep it together there. Hopefully this one is not the one I use usually, but so that's just gonna keep pressure until the glue dries, and that's gonna help me keep the bow together. So that's a little trick. People do it differently, but it works for me, and, especially with the fabric bows. So just for the magic, I'm trying to use like really tacky glue so it dries quickly.
Sure.
Hopefully.
So
And
yeah, that is a great tip because I was wondering, I have made one bow before and I did it without any instruction, and you're right, it can quickly come apart. So I love that tip. Yeah, I love that tip. So if you
feel a clip and just let it dry, the pressure just keeps everything together, and it's gonna and then another thing is wherever side you glued it, put that towards the back of the bow.
Sure.
Don't put it at the top, otherwise everything is just gonna come off. And again, another place that just because it's a little bit harder to do on television and the waiting time, but the paper clip I don't know how you call it, but just putting pressure on it is gonna help you like keep it together. And then again, just the last part, just the center, and to the back we go. And I think pretty much we are done with this. Again, I'm just gonna keep it there for a little bit until I add the foam adhesive in the rest of the card here. So while that dries, I'm just gonna keep adding. Like I said, again, another thing is not all foam adhesive, it's the same width or height. I don't know how you say it. Do you say width? Do you say depth? I don't know. Piece, and then I also add a little bit of foam adhesive behind the frame. So I'm just gonna go ahead and glue these in place. And how you doing, Jeff? We're doing okay?
Oh, I'm trucking along. I've definitely done more. I've definitely done I haven't done enough. So the sound, oh my goodness, the sound. So I'm going to come back to me for a second. Again, Natalie, nothing to do with you. So Miss Leah, the boss, so she doesn't fire me. Miss Leah, I think in the future we need to do a private Skype chat so that I can read true time what is going on with the audio. We need to remember that. And what I think is happening is I think that when we put the guest name on the screen, it takes the audio out for just a second and then it comes back, but I can't verify that. All right, we're going to truck right along with question number 2. And tonight, remember, it's the Craft Hour with Pinkfresh Studio, and we're in tonight's show, and it's called Better Together. So here is our second question. What is something you always buy 2 of? Not just one, but you always have to buy 2 of. I'm going to wait.
One of the things I buy, okay, I'm going to start this.
Yeah, thank you, because I don't know if I know my answer yet.
And especially when it comes to scrapbooking, it's 2 pieces of paper, and especially in the collections, I will buy 2. And one of the reasons is because as a scrapbooker, you tend to use a lot of paper, not just because of the paper, but having a double-sided paper, sometimes you lose on the other side of the pattern paper. So having 2 of them, it actually, gives you the best of both sides of the paper. So that's something that I buy 2. And another thing that I buy 2 all the time is enamel dots.
Oh, nice. Okay.
What about you, Jeff?
Well, let's see. This one was a hard one. Who writes these questions? I don't know, but the people, the Pinkfresh Studio audience is being very funny. I love it. They agree with pink paper packs, but they also are saying shoes. That made me laugh. Jars of peanut butter. Ooh, C Main. That is actually a really good one. Because when it's BOGO at Publix, which we have here as our grocery store in Central Florida, then that's what we do. Holly says she buys 2 scrapbooks, one for each son.
Yeah.
Adhesive from Marianne. Lorraine, she does paper and embellishments and crafting. And the boss, she buys bottles of wine, says Miss Lawson. So that's good. She
Oh, she
buys
also wants.
bottles. She buys bottles of wine after moderating my show because she's so exhausted that the whole thing doesn't work that she just has to drink, which is fine. All right. So I was going to be honest with you and say I am really behind. And you know what? I decided that I'm going to give myself grace and know that that it's hard to host the show and craft at the same time. So there. If I don't get it done, people, don't tell my bosses because they'll be mad at me that I'm not catching up. But I do want to show off these amazing enamel dots. I have some sets here and they match so well. They definitely are brought to complement all of the paper packs. So tell me
Yes.
about, how did you choose your colors for tonight?
So again, like I said, the rainbow was like my main focus. I think, like I said, a rainbow is the perfect color for any time.
Sure.
Anytime. So especially when you're doing a card that you don't want it to be as.
Okay.
I'm addicted to enamel dots.
Miss Natalie, can
No,
you do me a favor? So
yes,
don't move the camera, just move the actual piece of paper up to the camera for a second so they can see your work. So just pick the paper. Perfect. And then
perfect.
let me get you a better camera shot so they can see what you're doing. So I will get out of the way there. Hold it up just a little higher.
There you go.
Perfect. Look at that
And
color,
add the
everybody.
enamel- I'm
Natalie,
just gonna
what
add enamel dots.
Sure. Natalie, what I love that you do is the dimensions that you are giving. You're giving layered dimensions. People, I think, always want to put that enamel dot front facing in the outermost layer, the top layer. But what I love there is that they can be nicely tucked perfectly. And look at the dimension that you're offering. That looks fantastic.
We're not stamping, we're just keeping it very simple. By adding the enamel dots underneath the pieces of paper, it just props it a little bit. So it shows the dimension, it brings out some colors, and it creates a little bit of movement. You're gonna see how the enamel dots kind of zigzag through the card. So always keep that in mind. You want to add the movement like zigzagging. So it's gonna drop your eye through the entire card. And that's pretty much my first card. So I hope we are good to do another one, Jeff.
Sure, because I'm also finished with my first card, which is good. This is my first card. It's a very simple card. You just open it and close it, and it's very fancy. I think it's not too showy. I basically let Pinkfresh do all the work with their design, and I put this bow here, this fancy bow. I just put it in the envelope so people can use it later, perhaps put on their dog, something. Natalie, I'm being sarcastic because I haven't done a darn thing with my card and I just have 2 pieces of paper and a bow, but I will promise that I will do it. So
Yeah.
really quick, we're going to come back to my, as Kelby says, my handsome face. Thank you, Kelby. That's very sweet. What I need for you to do, because I can't moderate the comments and I may not see them, will you please, if you figured out why the audio goes out on the Skype feed that my guests are using, will you just drop us a comment on YouTube? Miss Lawson and I would appreciate that. That way our boss won't be mad at us. It'll be much better. So if you have figured out when you think the audio goes out, please let us know. So in any case, all right. So you were such a show off. You were ready to move on to, there's mine. It's very fancy. Let's find out about yours. You're moving on to your second card. What do you got there?
Okay, so another collection that is brand new to Pinkfresh Studio, and I love because it's part of Alti New. So again, simple cards, but I'm gonna play with some dies and some stamping. Nothing complicated, very simple. I like clean cards. I tend to be messy in my scrapbook layouts because I do a lot of mixed media, but I like my cards to be very simple. So what I've done outside of the camera, just because I wanted to make sure that I cut some frames, and this is from the ornate oval frame, and I don't know if it's still in stock. Sorry, Leah. Sorry, Leah. I just love the movement. I love the roundness of it. I think it just brings the focal point of the card. So I went ahead and cut two. We might just use one. We might layer them. We'll see. I don't know, Jeff. You said you didn't have this die, but you had something similar. So any frame will work. If you don't have the die, you can go ahead and use some of the frames that come in the ephemera pack. Simple, but you know what? This can also work. I'm going to show you a few ideas. That's what I think. I cut it in two different what do you call it? Two different frames. So the first one is, I'm just gonna literally place in the center. I'm gonna take one, and my idea was I want to play with the florals in this collection, and they're beautiful. I mean, like Pinkfresh Studio does beautiful florals, and you can either stamp your floral in this case, because the stamp sets that come in this collection are gorgeous. But I want to play, like I said, I want to play with the ephemera. So I think that if I go ahead and just add it here, and again, it's all going to be about layering. I'm just going to put things down, so you can follow along. If you're working, along with us, then these are very simple. So I just want to add my little florals there. I'm going to add probably one of the branches just to add a little bit of movement. Maybe up here. And I think that's pretty much all that my card's going to take. And that's going to give me space for my sentiment. So I put a few sentiments. How we doing, Jeff?
We're doing great. Yeah? I'm playing with the brand new, it's like they knew that we were going to do this tonight. They just sent me the ephemera pack. It's 37 pieces of the Celebrate with the Alta New collaboration. And I'm able to get my little frame already pre-cut out in the ephemera. So yeah, I'm just going to build mine on top of the card that I was doing earlier because I'm not a show-off like you.
Oh, sorry.
You are just you are an expert. You are an expert, and I am a novice. But that's okay.
Oh, don't say that. I'm not a card maker, but I I think once you enjoy paper, I think paper crafting comes natural to anybody. And cards don't have to be complicated. Sometimes.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is that I've learned over these years that giving yourself time, grace, and learning period, and swatching. You have to always swatch. I took too long to swatch. Swatching is critical. You guys, a celebrity is in the house. Vicky Booten is here. I don't know if we can handle it. Another Canadian. It's a Canadian showdown up in. Oh, well, she is my new friend. I'm hoping to love some Vicky. I met her for the first time this year, which is great. Before it all went down. Okay.
So you see how simple layering is all you need. And I brought one of the stamp sets from the release, and it's the Celebrate Today. And I just, I'm gonna actually stamp it before I build it, just so I know that everything is centered. So I'm gonna just pull, sorry, I'm out of the camera for 2 seconds. I'm gonna stamp it with licorice. I don't wanna do it black. I don't want it to be like, to pop, but I want it to be dark enough that you can see it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and one moved.
You know what? I'm seeing that there's so much fun with combining lots of different styles of media into one project, which is fantastic. That you don't have to like stick to one style. I think that's one of the things that makes it kind of the whole better together thing, right? All right, let's move.
Book, or whether you do card making or mixed media, simple is a great place to start. And then you're gonna see how slowly you can mix and match stuff. Simple, and you keep adding things that you like, and then it magically becomes you. That's the best way that I can put it.
Sure. All right, let's move on to our third question of the night. Our third question is, what two craft things can you not live without? What two craft things do you have to have in your life? See, this is the dangerous thing. Some of you already picked craft things as your pairing. So now you've got to come up with two craft things. People, you got to, what are we going to do with you? All right, so the two craft things that I cannot live without. Well, first of all, I'm not just saying this because they are, this is their channel, but my Pinkfresh inks. Because I will tell you that until I was able to get the Pinkfresh Studio inks, I was kind of limited in sticking things to only die cut and arranging things. Like I would do a base, add a die cut, and call it a day because I didn't have a lot of ink confidence. So I would say definitely an array of inks. I think you got to invest in an array of inks. And what I love about Pinkfresh is that they blend, they stamp, they complement each other in colors, which is fantastic. Uh-oh, the big boss is here. Kinnery is here as well. We've got to get our act together, you guys. Hey, Pinkfresh Studio audience, don't ruin this for us, okay? Tell Kinnery how much you love us and that we are your favorite show tonight on the internet, which is what we need.
No.
And my second thing that
we love her.
The second thing I would say is the Misty, of course, the Misty. Okay, what are the two things that you can't live without?
For me, like I said, because I do a lot of journaling and
Oh. Got it. All right, so we supposedly have lost your audio. Okay, let me try to do it one more time. We're gonna fix this. We are not gonna keep having these issues, everybody. I'm not gonna stand for it. Okay, so it says the audio is coming through there. Skype with desktop muted. Let's fix that. Can you talk for me now, Miss Natalie?
Are we fine? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay. Let's do it on this one. Can we hear you? Can we get a little hello?
Are we okay? Can you hear me, Jeff?
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry,
okay.
Guys. It's live television. Things happen on live television.
Yes, it's live. It's super hard to do. And now it says that I'm Natalie, which I'm not. So that's totally fine. Okay, that's great. Desk with, oh.
Are we fine now? Can you hear me?
Well, 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 no, we're now things are just messing up. It's fine. Okay. Let's go ahead and get us back here. So how is the second card coming? Do you mind holding it up one more time for me?
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm just adding a little bit of foam adhesive, but there you go. Super simple.
Look at that.
Simple. If you can see it now,
Yeah, perfect. Just a little higher.
a little bit higher. There you go.
Yeah,
So I
nice.
just have the panel. I'll glue it to the card later on. But you see how foam adhesive just adds that dimension to the card? It just brings it to life.
It's truly beautiful. It really is. So
And like,
everybody participated in that question too. There are a lot of Misty fans out there, a lot of Pinkfresh Studio fans, which we definitely agree with. So, don't forget that later tonight we'll be doing a giveaway. We have a lot of fun stuff. Miss Leah, I will tell you that I do not remember what you want me to talk about tonight. I tell you, I'm totally not going to get to episode 5. I did 4 shows and then they're going to let me go. Okay, so Miss Leah, if you could tell everybody about what we need to share with our audience tonight, I would appreciate it. So can you do the side-by-side cards for just a second after when you get a chance?
just trim it and put it onto my panel so you can see it. So let me just cut it because I forgot to cut before. And here we go. So, okay, I need to trim it a bit more. So here's one. And here's the other one. I'm going to try to get it closer for you guys. Is that better, Jeff?
Perfect. Nice. So everybody wants to rehear. Did you get a chance to share your 2 favorite craft items?
Oh, my 2 favorite things. Like I said, because I do a lot of mixed media, the liquid watercolor from Pinkfresh Studio is a must-have. Highly pigmented, easy to work with, easy to mix, and like really, really beautiful color, vibrant. And I cannot say enough. I think when they came out with it, I bought the first collection, and then I bought a second one just in case my first one finished. And then they sent me a third one, which I think I've already finished one of the collections. So that tells you how much I love them.
Wow.
And then the other thing, besides pattern paper, and I already talked about pattern paper and enamel dots, which I love. I think the last thing that I really love, and I know I'm going to say it again, it's because Vicky's here. No, it's not because of that. It's heavy cardstock. Vicky has one that she creates, which is the foundation paper, and it's amazing, especially if you do mixed media. And that's the only reason why I'm saying that, because I do a lot of mixed media.
No, I get it. I totally get it. So, as our moderator in the sky, Miss Lawson, shared, we are currently releasing our new fall paper collection called Days of Splendor, and it's already available on the blog. It's a paper collection, which makes, again, better together. Crafting can include card making and scrapbooking. And you can win it by going onto the blog. Miss Lawson provided the link, and you can comment to win it, which is great. All right, and Holly cannot wait for the fall and Halloween releases.
Oh,
it's going to be exciting, right?
I'm gonna flip the camera, Jeff, so I can see you.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just have a conversation. I love it. Look at that. Look at that beautiful face.
Okay, I'm sweating. It's the lights.
So, tell me really quick. Tell everybody about where they can find you. Where can they see your beautiful work?
My handle at Instagram is the best place to find me. It's Tachita55, and that's my nickname. So I'm gonna say in Spanish because but I'm sure that Jeff can link it because I know some people are gonna be, what did you just say? But that's my family doesn't call me Natalie. My family calls me Tachita as being my last name. My nickname since I was born.
Okay.
So it's TACHATA55.
Yep. And the best news of all, if you follow us on Instagram, we are already linked. So you can just follow us because we put our links on our Instagram at Pinkfresh Studio. So if you're following Pinkfresh, you can follow me at Mr. Jeff Lindberg and Miss Natalie there. So do you remember what got you connected to Kennery and her company? How did you get connected with Pinkfresh originally?
I think we talked about it a bit. Like I said, I'm new to the scrapbooking world. Like I only started scrapbooking 4 years ago because my kids were little before. So we did a lot of sports and, like all the parent stuff. They're teenagers now, so I have time, to do stuff. So I actually, one of the first pattern papers that I bought was a Pinkfresh Studio paper. And it was the graphic design of it that I was drawn to and the colors. So, like again, like any paper crafter, we are curators of beautiful paper. So I've been hoarding, for a better word, Pinkfresh Studio collections for a while.
Right.
And I use them. It's not just that I hoard them. I use them. And like I said, I buy 2 of each. So one sits nicely on my shelf and the other one I use. So through my designs, you know what? I was a guest designer, I think 2 years ago. And then they invited me to the design team. And I'm very blessed that I get to do this with you today.
Yeah. What would you say to crafters out there who want to feel more confident with using pattern paper? If there's one thing I've learned is that people can get a little self-conscious about pattern paper. It could be the fact that they think it looks too busy, but scrapbooking is really built around that. So how have you learned to use the different looks and combine them into one look that is particularly pleasing to everybody?
I think one of the things that about pattern paper, and that comes for, I think, for car makers and any paper crafting, is look at the paper and see what draws you to it, because there has to be something that drew you to the paper, whether it is a floral, whether it is a color. Sometimes there is busy pattern papers that you look at them and you're thinking, what can I do with it? So my best idea is cut it up.
Okay.
Make a flower out of it. Make a title out of it. You know what? Use just a piece of it. Use it as a layering piece. Sometimes it's that little, that difficult pattern is the one that has sometimes all the colors that you need to make something pop. Or it's just the perfect layer piece. So don't be what's the word that I can use? Don't be afraid of using that pattern. Try to instead use it in a creative way. So don't use it as the main focal of your page. Use it as a layer. Use a piece of it. Cut it apart. Cut a piece of it. So you're going to see that one of the things about pattern papers has 2 sides. You don't have to use the A side. Use the B side. Usually B sides are more neutral. They're more layering pieces. So always look at the 2 sides and think of what else can you do. Pattern paper, again, you can cut it apart. You can put some mixed media on it if you want to kind of dull some of the pattern. So I think that's a good idea for you going forward.
Have you taken on different sizes of scrapbooking over the years? I know that there's multi-size formats out there. Have you embraced different sizes, or have you always had one particular size that you love?
I love 12 by 12 layouts just because that's what I was introduced to. But I'm a journaler. So before I lay down pattern paper and create my layouts, I write down stories on a notebook. So I do traveler's notebooks. That's my religion. I do them every day. So sometimes they're graphic and there's pictures and, I go ahead and embellish. Some other days I just write on them. So I go between the 2 sides. 12 by 12 is, like I tell my kids, this is my gift to you. You'll take them when you leave the house. My son says he'll take them. My daughter goes, I don't know. We'll see. She'll take them. She'll take them. And then the traveler's notebooks are mine.
So when there are people out there who have picked up scrapbooking and maybe put it away or dropped it or not committed to it, have you ever walked away for a little while and come back to it?
I think my situation is a little bit different just because, like I said, I waited until my kids were in high school for me to start actually scrapbooking. So I have years of pictures that are living on my phone, on my desk, on my notebooks. So it is, I have plenty of inspiration and, projects to work. But one of the things that I do is I don't share any projects unless I have to on the weekends. I try to keep my weekends to my family. So Monday to Friday, I'll work. I work from home. I create pages. You'll find me on the dining room table creating something. But on the weekends, I tend to stay free so I can do stuff with my children.
That's fantastic. Being the CEO of a household is not easy. So to have the deadlines that you have as a craft designer, but also making with your heart, but also leading the team known as your family and growing them up during a national pandemic, by the way, is
Oh God,
something that
yes.
is quite a lot to ask of any parent.
Oh,
All right, let's move on to question number 4 for the night. What is something, because remember tonight's theme is better together. What is something that you
sure.
have become better at? Now, I know that's not great English, so if you're an English teacher out there, don't get mad at me. Blame Lawson. She's the one that wrote these. She didn't.
Okay.
She did. She
One
didn't.
of the things that I'm
I
better
totally
at.
did. So yes,
Can
yes.
you
I'm
hear me?
sorry. What is
One of the
something you're
things,
better
okay,
at?
obviously, one of the things that I've got better at is losing the fear of being in front of a camera. That's, you know,
But you're so
I
natural.
I'm
What?
not a
That's
master
so
like you.
funny because you're so natural.
I'm not a master like you. Trust me. Like I told Leah, and you guys are gonna laugh. I said, you owe me. I'm gonna have to take like a really nice cup of wine before, which I didn't. I didn't. You saw me drinking water. I didn't drink any wine, but it is a fear. But you know what? I was talking to my husband, and he said, "You give birth to 2 children. There's plenty of people were like, looking at you while you were giving birth. There's nothing else you have to be afraid of." So kudos to my husband.
That's a good point. Bruce wanted to know, did you have to homeschool your children?
I did not homeschool my children, but my son played competitive soccer since he was 6 years old. So he played it until he was 18. That meant that we were away every weekend. That meant that we were at a soccer field 5 days a week. My daughter played guitar. My daughter did trampoline. So it was really busy, and I don't drive.
Right, right.
So I was the mode of transportation.
So, so you have to get better at that too.
Yes.
People are saying Karen shares that she had to learn how to use supplies as soon as she got them. My friend Wendy, who's always so supportive, hi Wendy, says that it is Copic coloring that she's gotten better at. Vicky says stiff drink. It was a tequila, not water. I guess she's saying that she drinks a lot.
Oh, she knows me well. She knows me well.
Oh, I see. To get through it.
She knows me well.
Kel agrees that your husband said the right thing. There's nothing else to be fearful of. Miss
Yes.
C. Main shares that she's become better at making time for reading and that she loves mystery
Oh,
novels. I
that's
love that.
nice.
My buddy Bruce shares that Bruce, you had homework. I think that you were supposed to connect with me. Did you connect? I love to find dude crafters. Dudes craft too. Hashtag dudes craft too. Bruce says watercoloring, although he's still really bad at it. I too am trying to. I would lean on a couple of things. Don't forget that Pinkfresh has amazing options there for you, and so do our friends at Altenew. Some great pans. And you know what? I've never taken the time to learn how to pronounce your name, Delay Nakar. I hope that I'm saying it correctly. She says using up all of her scraps. Don't we all? We have so much scraps. We've got to get ourselves disciplined to do that, right?
Yes.
Do you have any? Do you have anything that tips for what you do with all your scraps?
Okay. One of the things again, scraps as a scrapbooker are great. Create layers with them. If you have like scraps, I tend to throw quite a few of them. I like to keep them where I know that I can maybe anything higher than 1.5 inch, like width, I'm able to keep because I know that I can cut maybe some letters out of it. But anything below that, even though I sometimes, and I think I told Kinari a few times, I'm gonna cry when I cut the paper because I love pattern paper. But sometimes those little scraps, I have to throw them because otherwise they just, they bulk up your space. And it comes to a point where you just have so much of it that you just don't know what to, and it's overwhelming.
Sure.
It's very overwhelming.
So let me give you an update about my amazing hosting skills. First of all, Bruce Gordon is not a dude crafter. That's his husband. That's her husband. That's a login. I messed that up. Sorry, Miss Gordon. And it's not Delay. It's Deli, and you can just call her D. So it would help. It would help if the host would prepare. You know what I mean? It would help. All right, let's ask our last question of the night, and then we'll draw our winner. Who are you better with? So I'll answer that question first. Of course, I said earlier that the duo of Dan and Jeff, my amazing partner, that's one. But I would say that for those of you that follow me, you know that I love my pup, Hazel Harper. One night she's going to make some type of premiere here on the show, but you can see her on Instagram. But the reason I'm mentioning Hazel Harper right now is not because I'm a dog person and I love dogs, but I think that through a pandemic and sheltering in place and being connected, I have reconnected with my dog in a way that has just been so amazing. And while I'm very excited to be going back to work, it's been really hard to be away from her all the time. So I would say my pairing is my amazing Hazel Harper. How about you? Who?
Oh, it's cute. Your dog is so cute.
Oh, I'm
And,
over. So who?
I'm also
What
a
about
good
you?
person. I would say my dog, but I think the person that, and I don't think it's gonna be it's me, but it is her. She's a good friend, but I think it's my mom. I think we're
Oh,
very opposite. We
yeah.
are very opposite. But she's like, she's been with me, she lives with me. But I think my best pair, if anything, like, we always sometimes joke, with those competitions where you have to go, like, and do all these crazy things. I'll be the one doing the crazy things, and my mother will be the one going, "Oh, good Lord, you're gonna die." But you know what? Good for you. So, I think we complement each other. We're so different, but we complement each other that way. So, anybody in this world besides my husband, it'll be my mother.
Our buddy Vicky says, I'm better for this community of crafter besides the obvious family that she loves so much. Like minded crafters have saved her sanity. I agree. I think that we are, that's why I love the theme of the show tonight. We are better together. And during
Yeah.
this, I started to do YouTube during the pandemic. I had never done it before. I definitely had Instagram, but I had never been on YouTube or connected through lives very much. And I have to say, the community of crafting, I agree with Vicky, us coming together and giving us each comfort while we make or create has been such a beautiful thing. I think that it's really saved us. And I love that all of the Stamping Village came together and did an amazing stamp sets that you should check out, where all the companies lended their beautiful sentiments to understanding how we can be better together too, which is great. I'm sure that Miss
Yes.
Leah will link it. Helen shares that she thinks that you're a great daughter for loving your mom like that. I think that's fantastic.
Oh,
And of
thank
course,
you.
we love Vicky's comment. So my favorite moderator in the sky, Miss Lawson, is going to take a look at the comments. The more you comment in the show, the better chances you have to get a $15 gift card to
I
Pinkfresh
know.
Studio. So I'm hoping that you commented a lot tonight so that Miss Lawson can find you. Holly shares that she agrees about animals and fellow crafters. Her pets or being able to craft has kept her sane over this time. And Vicky also shares that her friend Natalie, she makes things better. You two Canadians, you two are sweet. Yeah, I want to go to a
Yeah.
lunch date with all of you.
You know what? Vicky and I met through the community. She's right. We
Okay.
met, I think a couple of years ago. We happened to work with Scrapbooking Cars magazine. And one day Vicky's very outgoing. I wish I had some of her personality, and she knows that. So she just called me up and said, "You know what? I'm putting a design team together. I think you'd be a great fit." And you know what? I was like, okay. And it's been 2 years, and I'm her sidekick, and she's my good buddy, and we do things together, and I think we complement each other too. We're a good pair too.
Yeah. And everyone, of course, none of us can. People are commenting that Vicky has an amazing personality, and I agree. The other thing that I love about Vicky is that she is so good at building your confidence. With Vicky where you
Yep.
stand, but you also know where you can go. And I think that anytime crafters can support each other and show each other where they can go, that's the best part. We have to encourage each other. There's so much out in the world that's telling us
Yep.
not to unite, and that being united is a bad thing. But crafting doesn't do
Yep.
that, and I've loved that about crafting, which is fantastic. All right, Miss Lawson, do we have tonight's winner? Did I miss it? Sometimes it's hard to see. If you want to text me, Miss Leah, I can also say it, and I'll look on my old watch here versus the phone.
I know.
Natalie, did you have fun on your first date with me? Did we have a good time?
Oh, I had a lot of fun. I mean, Jeff, I'm gonna say you're an amazing host.
Oh,
Because I was like, oh, Jeff, I'm going to have to pray really hard that I don't screw up. And you're like, don't worry, we're going to be fine. I'm just going to talk and you're going to do, you're going to be just showing me what to do. And I was like, okay, I can do that, But then you're like, it's super easy to just, talk. And I'm a talker.
Sure.
I'm a talker. You can see I'm a talker.
Me too. Me too. Hey, so congratulations to Julie, who won tonight's $15 gift card. We put up there on the screen details for Julie Urban. Julie, you're so supportive of the show, and I'm so appreciative. You've won a $15 gift card. You can email the Pinkfresh Studio to claim your prize. Just make sure that you allow a couple of days for a reply, because Leah's running a company. She's giving us all those pictures and making us look fantastic and designing the fate of Pinkfresh Studio. Well, I think it's time for us to wrap this one up. We got to land the plane. Let's wait. We got a good comment for you, Natalie. So before you go, I'm tuning in late tonight, but I have to tell you, Natalie, that you're one of my favorite crafters. I adore your scrapping style, and it's such a pleasure to get to know you better here. You know what, Amy Loris, that's what this show is about. That's exactly what Kinnery and Leah wanted to do with this show. Yep. They wanted to take me as a new crafter and introduce me to the experts out in the field like Natalie. But also, the thing about crafting is that we get to know each other's hands and voices and the makes that we make, but we don't get to know the personalities. So here tonight, you'll notice that the last 10 to 20 minutes of the show has just been us talking, because Pinkfresh Studio believes in supporting its designers and introducing to them as personalities just as much as makers. So I love that somebody who's in the Pinkfresh family like you wanted to know about Natalie. And I think that that is the magic of what the show brings, is to connect great makers, which is great.
Thank you. And like I said, I told you, Jeff, thank you for inviting me. And great. Leah, you owe me some wine.
She does. She does. She promised you. I saw it in your contract. It was very specifically called out in your contract.
Thank you.
It was good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and send you off, mute you, and send you back to Canada. We were definitely better together, Miss Natalie. Have a great night, okay?
Thank you, Jeff.
Everyone, what another great episode of the Craft Hour with Pinkfresh Studio. Be sure to follow us. We'll link our things in the show notes, so be sure to check us out. You can catch me at Mr. Jeff Lindberg, and you can catch me here every Monday night at 7 p.m. for the Craft Hour at Pinkfresh Studio. I know that we're better together when we share time together like you and I do, but we are better together because you join us, and we're appreciative of that. So until we see you next week, thanks so much for joining us, and I hope that you have a great night. Be better together again. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. Bye, everybody.